Hello everybody, this is Felicia and welcome back to my channel. Oh my goodness, it has been a whirlwind for me here. Let me tell you, I hope your day is going great. I hope your week is going well, and I hope your month went well. Let me retread. I hope that your month went well. There you go. Anyway, so I am here today because I decided that because I've had some questions, and I've had people who ask me questions outside of YouTube and things like that. And so I hope they're watching the channel today. There's quite a few that I decided that I would get on here and talk about scrapbooking essentials. Now, I started with the tools. I'm going to start. So this will be part one, scrapbooking essentials. So I'm starting with the tools, and I also did a little biography on myself, a little bio on myself as to when I got started scrapbooking and why I decided to do it and things like that. So I will explain on here what I'm doing. And so basically, I have started scrapbooking in 1998. I went to Target one day and I was looking for a photo album, and I decided that I did not want to put my photos in the regular old Joe Schmo photo album. My mom did that, my grandma did that, and the pictures seemed to get destroyed and no one really cared. And then not only that, no one knew what was going on in any of the photos. And so what I decided to do was I decided to try to find some other kind of refreshing way to try and do some scrapbooking. And I just walked down the aisle and I remember seeing this box. It was super, super colorful, and it was right in the album aisle, as a matter of fact. Not the craft sections, but where all the photo albums were. And it was the only one left. So I decided to pick it up. And I said, oh, this looks interesting. It contained a 12 by 12 post-bound album, which we're going to get into that too later because we're going to go over that. It also had, it didn't have any page protectors. It had a punch in there. It had some decorative edge scissors in there. It has some die cuts, but they look more cartoonish. In there. It had some stickers in there, and they were just, generic stickers and things like that, but it had quite a few pages of stickers in there. And it had some paper in there. It had plain paper, some pattern paper. It had these little frame things. It had all kinds of stuff. And then it had these little squares, glue adhesive in there. And you would take your little thingy and you would just peel it off and then put it down. It didn't have any tweezers, no nothing, no gun, adhesive gun, no adhesive dispenser, no anything like that. Nothing like that whatsoever. But I loved that kit. It had a lot of stuff in it though. So I said to myself, oh, and it also had this plain colored die cut shapes. Okay, so they were on plain paper and they were just plain. In other words, just the shape itself. So I said, oh my goodness, this looks so fun and so great. So I hope you can still see me. I had to adjust my blinds there. Anyway, so I decided that I said that this looks so fun and so great. I can do this. And so I took it home. I was so excited. It cost me $19.99, which at the time I thought was pretty expensive. I said, wow, this is expensive. But I got it anyway. When I took that box home and I opened that box, let me tell you, a whole new world opened up for me. A whole new world of preserving my photos and telling my stories opened up for me. Now, albeit, you're going to see some little screenshots here of my scrapping style from back in the day. Don't laugh. That's how I started. I really started with a scrapping style just like that. More of a collage type. But I enjoyed it. And it would take me hours and hours to do just one page. 3-4 hours. Just one page, you guys. And then I would use the little decorative edge scissors. Now, I still have those scissors. Here they are. I keep them as a reminder of how I started. And I'm never going to get rid of these because it's more like a collector's type of deal, archival piece. If you ask my my youngest daughter, it belongs in history. That's what she likes to say. Because when I started scrapbooking was 24 years ago. She was 4 years old. Isn't that amazing? That's my youngest. So it also came with a little punch. This little punch here. And this punch is since worn out, but it's the shape of a flower. And I still have it, and it still works. And it's pretty heavy for a little tiny little punch. And it works just perfect. I mean, I'm talking like if you want a bunch of flower designs and things like that to put on your cards and things like that, or to layer some embellishments, I still use this to this very day. Because it is tiny and it's small and it's heavy duty and it hasn't broken. It's fallen many, many times and it hasn't broken. I just want to get on here and share that with you because those are tools that mean a lot to me because I basically held on to them. Now, I did not know I was going to be doing this video. Nobody knew that. I didn't know that. No, the future didn't tell me that. But I'm glad I did. So I want to go over some of these scrapbooking essentials that I use as tools now. And I think that they're very important as a beginner. And so that way you can decide for yourself on what you would need and what you would not need, what you want to add into, what you just feel like you don't want to add into, what you don't feel is necessary. Now I have a room full of tools here, but I broke it down to the basics and the essentials. I have a room full of tools I've collected over the years in here. I just decided to keep it simple and break it down into the basics. And that's the basics right there is what you got right there. So if you're starting out scrapbooking, even if you've been scrapbooking for a little while, you know what the basics are. And you just basically just stick to that and then you can get started with scrapbooking. So I just wanted to get on here and give you that little snippet while I go over the tools and things. And to the scrapbooking realm. Welcome to the scrapbooking realm if you're new. If you've been a scrapbooker for a while or as long as I have, then hey, you probably have a collection of tools just as much as I do. So anyway, all right guys, so I want to go ahead and get started with that. So check it out. Hello everybody. This is Felicia and I am here today with a scrapbooking video for Scrapbooking Essentials Part 1. So I realized that I have not done a scrapbooking essentials at all. So what I decided to do was I decided to get on here and show you the basics pretty much. So we're going to start here with the cutter. Now you're going to need a cutter. This cutter right here, the basic price for this cutter was $75. With tax and everything when I bought it. So I'm going to give you the prices for each one of these items here and what I paid for it at the time. I don't know exactly how much it is right now, but you can rest assured this is probably around about $70 to $75. This is a Caterpillar crop and it is a cutter that works very well. It has a self-sharpening blade here. You don't want to pick it up by this mechanism right here because that'll throw it off of alignment. It also has a light that you can turn on so that you can see where you're cutting at. And then it also has an arm here, which comes out here to the side. So you can measure your 12 by 12 or anything bigger than that. So this is called the Caterpillar crop. Oops, the Caterpillar crop. And that is what that is for. It's for cutting your papers and anything that you need to have to cut. Now, this does not cut fabric. This does not cut like chipboard. This only cuts cardstock paper up to I think 120 or 130 pounds, and then for it to get a nice cut and anything lighter than that. Okay, so the next thing you're going to need, and I have over here to the side here, are two rulers. I have a regular straight ruler and one that you can see through so that you can see what you're doing in your designs. And then I also have a T ruler, which you can find at any of your Hobby Lobbies or Michael's or even Amazon. Okay, so, and what this does is you butt this end up to the paper. So you can see mine is well loved here. I got glue and sticky and everything on it. So I've used this so many times on so many different projects. But you just butt this end up to the paper and it gives you a straight edge no matter what you do. And you can, this is what I use sometimes to do my journaling lines and everything like that on my paper if I choose to do so. The next thing that we're going to have is our stapler. This is the Tim Holtz Tiny Attacher, and it is refillable, and they do sell this. He does sell the staples by themselves, and so this is pretty good. Now, the newer Tiny Attacher doesn't quite look like this, but this is the Tiny Attacher, and as you can see, this is also well loved. I've had this for a while. The next thing we're going to go over here up to top here, this big thing here, and this is my advanced tape glider. There are smaller ones like the Scotch ones and things like that, but I found that those are not economical for me right now. This is economical, and I always make sure that I find some kind of coupon or anything like that. Now, I use the acid free because I'm figuring why go through all that trouble of scrapbooking and things like that for it to be destroyed later on by the acid and a lot of the tapes and adhesives. And so I went with the acid free because I didn't put all that work in there for nothing. You can find this at Michael's with 2 tapes for $35. Oh, and the Tiny Attacher was $15. So next we have, when I bought it, it was $15. I'll just put it that way. The next we have here is the We Are Memory Keepers Hole Punch. With this We Are Memory Keepers Hole Punch, there are various sizes that you can get your holes. This is a little tiny hole, so if you want to run like a little tiny, some floss or something through anything. This is a next size up, which is 1/8. So let's see, this is 1/16, 1/8. This is 3/16, and this is 1/4. And then this one is 5/16. So this is the bigger one. And you just slip your paper inside of the slit that's right here, and you just punch and squeeze, and you have your paper. Now, this is kind of heavy duty. I really didn't need this because I did have a hole punch, but instead of me grabbing for the different size hole punches that I need, I just thought I'd get this all-in-one hole punch right here. The next thing you want to have is you're going to have a pair of scissors. These are We Are Memory Keepers, or is American Crafts, I'm sorry, American Crafts, and I use these all the time. As you can tell, they are loved as well, and they're still sharp. They're still sharp, and I only use them to cut paper with. These are, you're going to need some micro cutting scissors for fussy cutting. These have a really fine tip. These are the Tim Holtz scissors, and they're the tonic Tim Holtz. And these are for little tiny, like fussy cutting and getting around those little tiny areas. And they're very, very sharp, and they're self-sharpening. And they come with this little cover, which is good. The next thing you're going to need is you're going to need some tweezers. Now, I have 2 here. Now, the reason why I say you're going to need some tweezers is because I like to glue down tiny little things so that you can pick it up. If you have nails like I do, these tweezers help. And these tweezers, as you can see, are extremely needle nose. You can see the tip here on these scissors. Look at that. And they're really pokey, so you want to be very careful. I got these from Amazon, and these are needle nose tweezers. Okay. And then I have Nuvo. These came in I think it was one of the kits that I used to get through Tonic Studios. These are also pokey. They're not as pokey as the first ones I saw you, but they're pretty good. And you squeeze. You want to get tweezers that you can squeeze together. And that's pretty much what I suggest. So, I got a couple pairs there. And then the next thing you want to have on hand is some 3-dimensional adhesives. So these are the squares. Of course, there's circles, and then these are the tinier squares and the larger squares, and there are also circles. So, but you always want some kind of 3-dimensional adhesive so that you can pop up some of your elements on your page. The next thing I have here is some Nuvo Deluxe adhesive. Now, this is liquid adhesive, and you want to have this as well because this helps you glue down any of the smaller items on your page. And I also use this to glue down my thickers because thickers sometimes they don't stick all the way all the time. And so I usually put some glue, a few dots on the back, and then it's down there and it's down permanently. I also use this to glue down sequences because of the tip here that you can see here. Tip. Okay, and then there's also other glues that do that, that help with that. Then the next thing we have is our archival pens and then a Sharpie pen. Now this Sharpie pen has a little bit of a point in it, and I think it's a 0.5, and this is permanent, so you can write on top of your photos if you choose to. Any small Sharpie marker, permanent marker, will easily go over your photos if you want to write on your photos, or if you just want to have something where you can write and then color and it doesn't bleed. And then I have an archival pen as well. Okay, and also a pencil. So now we're going to scoot over here and we're going to go with the different, we have 2 different kinds of adhesives here, plus the washi tape. Now, you're not always going to need washi tape on your layouts, but you will need washi tape to hold something down temporarily. It's got a stickiness in it that can be pulled up. A lot of washi tapes are like that, and it's stickiness that'll stay around for a time. So it's kind of like a tactful thing. So if you need something to glue down, or if you just want to just put on top of your layout or anything like that. But this is also good to tape down any stitching that you might do on a layout or anything like that. So that's washi tape there. And then we have 2 different adhesives. We have our red line adhesive. This is a big roll. I've had it for a little while, and I also have another one over there from one of the design teams. But this is red line tape, and what you do with this is you just peel it off here, and it's got a backing to it, and you want to peel off. Okay, let me see if I can get. Actually, no, you don't peel that off. I'm sorry. Oh. So you don't peel it off. That must have came off some kind of way. But anyway, so this is super duper strong adhesive. This is adhesive that I usually use if I don't want any of my metal embellishments or any heavier embellishments to come off my page. I also use this red line to put envelopes together, because it really keeps them together and it sticks really well. So you always want to use that. And if you have any acrylic shapes that you don't want to fall off, and instead of using liquid glue, you can also use the red line tape. This is your also double-sided tape here. This is the coolest stuff in the world that you ever want to have. And I have 2 different widths here. I have this really, really thin one here, and I think that's 1/8 of an inch. And then I have this 1/4 inch here. So these are 2 different sizes, and these are really cool to use for when you want double-sided sticking or anything like that, because it has 2 sides to the sticking process. Alrighty, so that's pretty much the basics to start off with. When I first started scrapbooking, as you've heard my story already, I started out with a box with all stuff in it already. So it was really interesting on why I did it and why I chose to start off with scrapbooking like that, but that's pretty much it. So now we're going to move into, now that we've got our tools out of the way, we're going to move into paper necessities that you will need to get started for scrapbooking and possible albums. Alrighty guys, so I'll see you in the next one.